Okay, good morning, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the first two talks, the keynotes. So today, or in this talk, we will talk about Flutter and about cross-platform UI development. And I'm very happy to see that this is kind of an interesting topic for you, because it's quite full here. So let's start with a short introduction. So my name is Roman, I'm from Vienna. I work with Accenture. I'm a technical architect, so I support our clients in making complex architectures, making complex technology decisions, and all these things. And I'm working in the group which is called Emerging and Growth. So the colleagues that you saw in the keynote today, they are also from this group, and we are thinking about how to approach our clients with new technologies and how can they leverage that. I more precisely, I'm in a group which is called Software Innovation. So we look at software, at frameworks, we look at new languages, at libraries, which could be relevant for our clients or are currently relevant for our clients to allow them to have a better business. Yeah. So today the session will be really tight here. So I will give you a short introduction why cross-platform mobile development is interesting, and then I will dive into a little hands-on session to show you the user experience or the developer experience by creating a little app. Yeah? So I hope everything works. Live coding is like throwing a coin, but let's hope for the best. So front-end mobile development, it's really important. It's even more important than ever, I would say, because today most of the companies they are interfacing with their clients through some kind of front ends. It could be a web app, it could be a mobile app, and so on. So today, when you have a bank account, you are not going to the bank anymore. So I've been to my bank the last time, I think 3 years ago. I'm interfacing with them through a channel of them, which is a mobile app or a front end. So this is a really important topic that was not the case like 5 or 10 years ago for a lot of our clients. But today this is a really important topic, and it's a differentiator. For example, in banking, you see there are all these fintechs, startups which can give you a really nice experience to the client because they have really good mobile apps, really good front ends. And then on the other side, sometimes you have banks where you say the experience is really bad and it's really difficult to do things without going to the branch. Yeah. So if you look now, what is the complexity here? Why do the fintechs can do all these cool things and the other not so cool companies cannot do that? So it's a really complex topic. Yeah? So if we look at an architecture, we have this system, and then we have some kind of a layer which is called channels, where we serve our channels. Yeah? And one of them is the front end, the other might be third-party integration and so on. And if we look at the front end, it sounds kind of easy at the beginning, but front end is not front end. Front end are a lot of different sub-channels. Yeah? So you have web, you want to serve a website, you want to serve a mobile website for all the clients that don't want to install apps. You need to install an iOS app for iPhone and tablet. You need to install an Android app for phone and tablet. And maybe if we look into the future, we are talking about IoT devices. So maybe you have an Amazon Echo somewhere, or you have something else that has a screen, and you want to interface with your client on these devices, yeah? And this is really complex, but the problem behind it, additionally, is that you don't have one team that can do that, yeah? Because for the web, you have usually your web developers. For iOS and Android, you have your mobile developers, which are again separated. And then for your backend, you have your backend developer, which are again not really of the same team of the front end team, yeah? And so you have a lot of communication overhead. They all need to talk about it. Usually the company wants to have a unique user experience, so it should be the same, but it's not the same people doing that. So this is a really big overhead. And in the end, what does the company want? Yeah? So the company itself, they want to guarantee differentiating experience, and this should be consistently good across all the devices, because you don't want to say, oh, the website is very good, and then I install a mobile app and I can't do anything on a mobile app. Yeah. And again, if you're on the web, you go through Safari on the website. You want a similar experience on the mobile app on your iOS device, for example. Yeah. So this is one thing that they that you usually are striving for. And another thing is, today you want to be fast, yeah? So you want to be very fast when you have a new idea. We could do this product. You want to bring it to your clients, and bringing it to your clients would mean, in this case, you need to bring it to all the channels. Yeah, so you need to bring it to web, mobile, and whatever. Yeah. So and if you have now 4 teams, this is really complicated because this is expensive, and this is also might take quite a long time to do. Yeah. And the last point is to be cost effective. Cost effective, in terms of how many people do I need to build something, and B, how many things do I have that fly around in my architecture. So for example, if you have all these channels and you have separate technologies for all the channels, you have some overhead in managing, yeah, I need to update this one, and then I need to update iOS, and then maybe there's a security fix, and there's a security fix, and this is kind of expensive to do, yeah. And for large companies that have maybe additional security requirements, this is really much effort to do, yeah. So obviously today I'm talking about Flutter. So the first thing that you would do if you don't know it, you go to the Flutter website, and if you go to this website, you will see all these nice pictures, and which says, create faster apps. That's good. That's what we want to do. We want to productively build apps. Yeah, that's also what we want to do. We want to design beautiful apps. We want to approach our client with a nice user interface, and obviously we want to do it cross-platform because we don't want to have 4 teams building something. We want to have like one team that can build for all the platforms. So what is Flutter exactly? Is it another hybrid mobile framework? I mean, there is a reason why there are all these mobile frameworks out there, because they're all trying to solve the same problem. They want to give companies the possibility to serve all their customers with a unique user experience by not having to hire 4 different teams. So Flutter is Google's UI toolkit to build beautiful, blah, 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 mobile, web, and desktop applications. So we are not only talking about mobile here, talking about web, and we're talking about native desktop apps. Yeah. So, and if you think now, just when we focus at mobile, I mean, there are a few players out there. I picked out React Native because React Native is kind of, so it's the framework that I liked most for a cross-mobile framework. And I think it's the framework that is maybe closest to what Flutter is doing. So, so I want to explain you what the differences are. Yeah. So, just one question: who knows React Native in here? Okay. Who knows Flutter in here? So quite a few. So pretty cool. Yeah. So the technical difference, I mean, maybe not that important, but technical difference is React Native is kind of a hybrid approach because you still have your JavaScript that is then interpreted when you start the app. Flutter on the other side is compiled, you have a native code, and so this is technically different. Maybe you will not see it, but that's technically it. Yeah? The major difference, and I think this is when clients want to do React Native, is something that is very well explained from the React Native side, but maybe misunderstood from people looking at it, is that React Native is learn once, write everywhere. That means usually you need to write or you have a separate code base for every client. Yeah. Obviously, if you are smart and you have a good architecture, you can reuse quite a bit of code. But technically speaking, you have different code bases. Yeah. And in Flutter, this is technically completely different because here you have a single code base. So you don't have I want to do this now for iOS and for Android I need to do this differently. Most of the time you have one code base. Yeah. Another big difference I would say is the language. So React Native is JavaScript, which is good today because most of the companies have somebody who can write JavaScript today, because if you have a website. Flutter is using Dart, so Dart is a bit exotic here. I'm not sure if any companies have a lot of Dart developers, but in the end Dart itself is a language which is kind of easy to learn, and it's kind of a mix of Java, C#, JavaScript. So usually everybody who has been in Java or JavaScript or C#, he will find himself in there and say, oh, okay, I understand what's happening here. Yeah, there are a few things that you need to look at, but more or less you get up to speed very, very fast. And then there is the big thing now, the thing when we talked about React Native 3-4 years ago, this is the next thing. Now we are saying, hey, Flutter, maybe that's the next thing. And we see companies leaving React Native. I mean, I've pointed out Airbnb because they were the big contributor, the big driver, and they were saying, yeah, they didn't have the positive things that they expected from a cross-mobile framework. They had to invest a lot, they had to do updates, and they still had a lot of native code interfacing with React Native. So they said, okay, we're done with it. We're going back to native. Yeah. So there is kind of a negative trend with React Native. They are also kind of on the website. They're still saying, yeah, be careful. We are not on a major version, on the 1.0 version. If we do an update, things might go wrong. Yeah? So on the other hand, we have their Google and this ominous fascia OS where nobody really knows what is happening, but you know that there are a lot of people working on that. There are a lot of people working on Flutter. So I think they're talking about 100 developers in the core team with Google. So they're investing an enormous amount of money to do that. And so that might be the next thing. And that's what we today want to look at. Is this the next thing? How does it feel? How is the ergonomics of it? But you can see in the difference between React Native and Flutter that in Flutter there is a lot of money invested in making nice user experience, creating YouTube videos. They are like YouTube channels like crazy, sponsored by Google, to explain normal developers, juniors who are starting, how this works, how can you build a cool mobile app. Yeah? So now a little technical slide. Yeah? How does Flutter work? We know, maybe a few of you know React Native, but in the end, what is React Native doing? React Native, you write your code in JavaScript, and there is a piece of React Native that is translating your JavaScript, or let's say communicating with the native widgets of a device. So if you say I want to have a button, then on Android you will get an Android button, on iOS you will get an iOS button. Yeah? So this is the difference, and then you have your logic, you have in JavaScript, this is executed when you start the app, and this is communicating. Flutter is different. Yeah? So in Flutter, what they did is they say, yeah, we throw everything away, what we get from a UI perspective, from the devices. Yeah? So it's the devices, it could be Android, it could be iOS, it could be an IoT device, and we are rendering itself on the canvas. So what they're doing is they have put a renderer in there, Skya, and they just rebuild iOS. They rebuild Android, they rebuild the UI experience of iOS, and what you're doing is you're using the native Flutter widgets, and this is then rendered on the screen. So they had to rebuild all the animations, they had to rebuild all the user experience, they had to rebuild everything. So you can see how much effort has went into it. But the cool thing about that is that across all devices, you get the same user experience because it's your widgets that you are rendering. Yeah? So widgets, components, kind of the same. And on the other hand, you can render to every device that can run this rendering engine, and this is more or less everything that has a screen. Yeah? So the idea then, maybe for FastOS, is that you can then write your app, and that can run on your fridge, it can run on your oven, it can run everywhere where you want. Yeah? So this is practically the idea behind it. There is kind of this architecture side where you can see on the top, this is everything what you expect from a framework. It's like all the UI stuff. And then on the back, you see the C++ engine, which renders, which makes it work on the device, and then you have a communication that is platform specific. Yeah? So this is more or less Flutter. So Flutter is a framework which is really, let's say, now another approach, an approach where you need a lot of engineering effort to get in there. Yeah? So you need to rebuild everything, you need a huge team. But what they do really, really well is A, you are not dependent from any platforms anymore, and B, you have a really, really good developer experience. And if you look at everything, if you look at the documents of Flutter, if you look at the YouTube videos, everything is targeted for normal people, which are software engineers, that just want to build something. So I would say the entry barrier is very, very low, yeah? And you get very, very fast a really cool app. And so to show you that, I will, with you together, write an app. I will write an app in, I hope, 10 minutes or 15 minutes for OpenSlava. So we want to have a conference application. And we want to have an Android app, an iOS app. We want to have a mobile-optimized web app. And we want to have a native Microsoft or macOS app that you can put on the screen where you can then do things. Yeah? So please bear with me if something doesn't work, but let's try that. Yeah? So I hope everybody can see everything. Is this good for you? Yeah? Oh, okay, perfect. So what I did, just as a heads up, let's close this PowerPoint stuff. As a heads up, I just created a normal Flutter project. There are hello worlds everywhere on the internet. And the only thing that I already pre-coded, because I didn't want to go into these details, is the API layer. So this is the HTTP call and then the JSON encoding and decoding. You will get all this code. It's on GitHub. You can download it and you can play with it because it will be kind of quick now. And if you have questions, you can file issues and so on. But this is the thing that I prepared. And additionally, a detail view that is a bit nicer. But from this perspective, everything is as you would when you start. Yeah. So when you know React maybe or not, so it's kind of similar. So what you have is in Flutter you have widgets. So widgets is kind of the similar thing like a component in React. So it's kind of a thing that you can render to a screen. And there are two definitions. There are either a stateless widget, it means it's a widget that has no state. So if you want to manipulate it, you can give it properties or arguments, and it will render it. But you cannot say it has an internal state. And then the opposite of it would be a stateful widget. This is a widget where you can manage state, and then you have a set state function where you can update it. Yeah. But for our case, we don't really need a lot of state, yeah, because we want to do a conference app. We want to just show what is in there. So obviously, I talked about developer experience. So the first thing that we would look at, how does the code look like? Yeah. So we see here I have my app, and I'm having this stateless widget, and every app has a build method, and this build method is then the thing that you're rendering to the screen. Yeah. And so I created this event list to start, and we see again this is a stateless widget, and blah blah blah. We build it, and then we have this text hello OpenSlava. So what you would expect from a framework is obviously that I have hot reload. Hi, hot reload. Yeah. I'm saving it. It's updated on the screen. So this is the iOS simulator. You can do this with the Android simulator also. Doesn't matter. Yeah. Okay. So let's get started. We want to build an application, an OpenSlava conference application in 10 minutes. So we need to hurry up. The first thing that we say, okay, this doesn't look really like OpenSlava. We need a little bit of UI here. So let's add an app bar. You see, you have in VS Code, you have all the completions. You say, I want to have an app bar. Cool. And in this app bar, I want to have a title. So again, everything is completed. And the title should be a text, and we say, hey, this should be OpenSlava, Slava 2019. Save it, cool, bam, we have it. So the next point would be, now we want to show, at first we don't want to use the API because we don't know that maybe it's a bit difficult to handle it. So we want to create some template data, yeah? So I say, okay, I want to create I want to create a list of talks, and I name the talks there, and I want to give them some default talks. So I have a talk, and I say, okay, I want to give a title. This is talk 1, and so that we have a bit of things already here that we can show them. So usually now we want to create a list. We want to have a list that you can scroll where we see all the talks. Yeah? And what you usually also have is that when you work with lists on mobile devices, you need to care about how big can this list get, because if you render everything, maybe your device will run out of resources. So usually when you work with lists, there are some kind of optimization in the background. So the list that disappears from the screen, it gets reused on the bottom. So this is how usually iOS is doing that. But here it's the same. So we remove all this hello world stuff here, and we say we want to have a list view. So this is everything. There's no library included. This is everything standard library Flutter. Yeah. So we say we have a list view, and the list view builder now needs to know how many talks do you want to render. So say item count is talks.length. So I don't know if anyone worked with Dart, but I mean everybody who worked with JavaScript or Java, you should understand what is happening here. And then we have an item builder here, which itself takes some kind of a function with a context. So we have some kind of a build context, and we have the integer of which item should be rendered. So we have here, let's call it index. Yeah, so it's an integer index. And the item builder now needs to return something. So we say we have a list of talks. So we say which one is the talk? Oh, sorry, talk is talks, and we want to have from the array the index, and then we return list tile, which is kind of a tile of a list. Yeah, so everything is already there, and this list tile we want to give a title, and it's the talk. It's again the text widget, and we say this is the talk.title. Yeah, so perfect. Oh no. Talk. No. Let's refresh.
The shadowed the talks variable using the same number class.
No, I'm not sure whether.
Talks.title.
The global talks should be named
S. I think you're missing an S. No.
Line 11.
It's like, let me check. Talks.length. Oh no, that. Ah, sorry. Here. Yeah. Sorry, I'm wrong. It's my mistake. Sorry. Okay, I've sorry. I've been too fast. Okay, perfect. So we have these talks here. It's a list. You can scroll it. It's all you would expect. Yeah. So the next step here would be now we want to use the response from our API call to the OpenSlava API. So first of all, what do we expect back from this API? We say we will get a list of talks, and then we want to give the talks to this event list, and this should be rendered. So we start a bit, and we say, okay, we will have here final list of talks, yeah, which we name talks. That was the error. I've been a bit too fast. And again, the developer experience. This is VS Code, yeah. So I mean, you just here add formal fields. Everything is there. So it's a really good developer experience. So you remove all these things here before, and now we say, yeah, we're giving event list the talks, and then they will somehow render it, yeah. Cool. So now we need to care about the API. So this will now crash because we are not giving the talks here. But now we need to think about our API. So what do we want to do? Usually in a mobile app, you say, I'm doing an API call. In the meantime, I wait. So during my wait, I want to show the client or show the user something is happening. And then when I get the response, I want to show the new UI. Yeah. So as you've seen in the API Dart, we are talking here about futures. So we have a async await, we have a future model, everything is in there in Dart. So we have this get program method. So what we need to do now is how do we handle this future? The good thing is again, everything is built in Flutter, so we have a future builder. And the future builder takes the future. And this is our API.getProgram. And then when you have this future, yeah, you need to do something. So again, you see these patterns are repeated all the time. So you have this builder, and here you get, I need to sneak peek here. You need again a build context, which is context, and then you have an async snapshot. Async snapshot. What is the async snapshot? Snapshot of type talk, which is a snapshot, and you return something. So again, I'm a bit nervous because everything is red, but see what's happening. Future builder. Is it? Infer. Talk, okay, because talk is not event list.dart. I need to import, so we don't need it for now. I like that. Yeah, thank you very much. It's like, I tried that like 3 times, but thank you very much. So what you have here now, we have now this snapshot, and now we can say, okay, depending on what is happening, yeah, on snapshot dot connection state, we can do things. Yeah, so we have the connection state dot connection. Oh, sorry, typo. So dot active. We say if the connection is active, or if it's waiting, or if there is none at all. We want to show something, and in our case, we want to show a progress indicator. So we say we want to have a circular progress indicator. So perfect. And then we say in case the connection is good, yeah, so it's done. We want to return our event list, and we want to pass the talks, and the talks is the data that we get returned from the API. So we're saving here. Okay, we're seeing the progress indicator is not looking really nice. So we can use here our auto completion. You can say I want to center this widget. I save again. You see the circular progress indicator is displayed very nicely, and we have our list. Cool. So now we can go back. We say, okay, when I click on this, I want to get more information. Nothing easier than that. So we can say list tile. When I tap it, I wanna navigate to a new screen. So what I would say is I could use the Navigator, which is again built in. Yeah. So if you come from React Native and so on, you see, okay, this is a little bit. This is more the Angular style. So you have everything in there already. And so I push on the root, and the root is a material page. Let me complete that material page root, where you again have a builder, and where you pass to the builder, you pass a context, and then you return the new route, and this is the event details, and we pass the talk, and good, and I need to import that here. Import library, and I think this is named talk. Perfect. And here we need to. Okay, perfect. We reload. Bam. Here we get this thing. And again, this is not just blah blah. This is all this native experience how you would expect it. It has the performance. You can render it to 60 Hertz. You can render it to an iPad with 120 Hertz. It doesn't matter. Yeah. So we have a bit of time left. So if you look at that, maybe let's do another little thing. For example, I also want to have a subtitle here because I want to know in which room I am. So I say I add here another text because somehow from the API rooms are sometimes null. So I'm checking if it's null again, and if it's null, then I say if it's not null, I say okay, render the room. And if it's null, then say we have none. Yeah. So you save it. Bam. Again, you have all the rooms there. Perfect. So the next part, I say, okay, I want to search the Flutter talk. Now it's easy because it's here. But what would you expect? You would expect that you can search in that app because I mean, if you're interested in blockchain, for example, I would have to look through all these things. This is not cool. So we want to add more user experience and add some search. So what I want to have next to OpenSlava 2019, I want to have a search button. So I say, okay, I want to add an icon button here, and I need an icon. The icon will be a material icon for search. And when I click on it, for now, I'm just ignoring what is happening. Yeah. So saving, bam, it's here. Yeah. Okay, we have the search item, and so now we want to do a search, but we want to have a search that has a really native look and feel. Yeah, we don't want to do like, something is popping up and we have to think about it. Searching is something that you would do in nearly every app. So Flutter has some kind of idea on how to do searching. So what I'm adding now is a new Dart file, which I called event search.dart. I created a new class and called it event search. And this one extends from a search delegate. And the search delegate itself has some special functionality, and you can add that. And it gives me already an idea on if I provide that, I will get a really nice search. Yeah, so it's how delegates work. So I also need to implement the talk. Perfect. So let's look what we get. Let's try to do the lowest possible example. Okay. So if I go back to my list, I can say on pressed, I want to just show search. And in show search, again, I get asked it for context. Okay, I'm passing that. And then it asks for a delegate. Yeah, we've just built that. So it's the event search delegate. Bam. We imported. I hope the import is the correct one. Yeah, perfect. I save. Oh, sorry, I forgot. Okay. Now if I click here, oh, cool. You see, it has like a transition. It's like you would expect it. Yeah. So, but now for now I can do things, but we want to improve the search because now we don't get any results, and we want to improve the search. So the first thing is, I want to have an action item here where I can delete my last search. So similar thing. So that's what I'm talking about the learning curve, yeah? So again, you are starting, if you work with it like 1 or 2 days, starting to see, okay, this works this way. So again, we have an icon button, with an icon, just an icon from the icons library. We want to have close, now delete something, no, close maybe, close is better. And on pressed, again, in the search delegate, there is an internal variable, which is called query. And we're just saying, this is the thing that you see here. We want to set it to 0. Save it, bam, we have it here. We can click on it, it's gone. Yeah. So, and now the most important thing, we want to search something. So now we have the query. We want to, based on this query, we want to give results. So what we need now, obviously, again, we need the list of talks. So we pass here a final variable with a list of talk, which are the talks again. And I need a constructor here because it's a final variable. I passed it to the event search. So I can go back to my list. I have the talks here because I had the query, so I'm saving that. And so now, based on what I have, I can build my suggestions. So how should suggestion look like? Suggestions. So if the query is empty, so if I'm not searching anything, I want to return everything. So return the talks. If the query is not empty, I want to filter the talks based on my query. So I say talks.where. So this is kind of the JavaScript filter. And there you have a talk. And I want to return where talk.title. And I don't want to care with upper and lower cases. So I also take the lowercase. To uppercase. To lowercase. Perfect. And then, lowercase, and we need to just forgot the function contains. Perfect. Contains the query with 2 lowercase. Perfect. Bam, done. So we have. Okay, again, I forgot my semicolon. And maybe also perfect. And now we just say when we return, it's the same as we had in the list, so we can simply copy this thing here. I mean, it's not the nicest coding stuff, but we try to do something in 10 minutes. So what we have here, we don't have the talks, we have the suggestions. Perfect. Suggestions, we need to pass it. Give it the information that this is a list of talk. Perfect. And then we have to import the event details. Suck. So now reload all this thing. Or go back here. So if I search here, didn't work because I forgot something here again. Perfect. So now I can type in Flutter. Okay, something. I forgot something. This is a specialty. I'm not getting used to it, but we need to add this here. So perfect. So if I search now for blockchain, sorry, my keyboard's broken. I can, yeah, Mac, you know. And there you can search for block. You get the blockchain talks. You can navigate to it. You can go back, and the app is done. So we've used now 12 minutes, I think. Now as said, we can also build a web app. So I say, okay, I can run this thing in Chrome. So I just run Flutter run -d Chrome. And I can also run this Flutter run -d Mac OS. So let's do this in parallel. So perfect. Oh, so I run everything in debug mode, so the performance is not the best, obviously. So let's wait a bit for the macOS app to start up. In the meantime, you can see we have. So let's go back. We have the same view. It's the same look and feel. Let's put this also on the side. Perfect. Make this like this here. So we have now a native desktop application, which could be Windows or Mac, which we could run on a large screen. We have a web application, a mobile web application, which we could serve our clients through a browser. And we have the same application as a native iOS or Android application. Again, I can go here, search for blockchain, can go here, search for blockchain, can go here, search for blockchain. And again, this is not the native app, it's not a web view. It's natively compiled, and these are natively drawn to the canvas. I can click on blockchain. Here, I have the animations here. I can go back again here and here. So let's go back to the slides here, because I'm finished with my talk. So what did just happen? I think I have 20 minutes. So we need in 15 minutes. We've built a native iOS and Android app. We've built a web app and we've built a desktop app, which is kind of useful because you could use it here. I mean, it doesn't have the full functionality, and everything with this low effort. And I'm really sure everybody of you could also have done what I did here. Yeah. So this is really impressive. I have to say, some of the things that we saw today, they are experimental. The web thing is experimental. You will not put this into production today. But the question is this something that might be relevant in the future? We see already a lot of companies hopping on Flutter because you see you can build on one code base different clients, you can serve them. Is this the future? You have to try it. You have to ask the question yourself. And maybe for your case, it fits. If you think it fits, try it out. There are a lot of resources out there. You can just start it, and I would say when you work with it 1 week, you can do nearly, 60-70% of all the applications you can build in there. So I would say thank you very much for attending here. The code is here on GitHub, so you can download it and play with it. If you have any question, feel free to contact me afterwards. And thank you very much.